Good evening, everyone. Back with another preview of the NASCAR season going into Bristol this weekend. We're going to pop off with a quick look back at Rockingham, which was just the O'Reilly's Auto Parts Series and the Craftsman Truck Series. Cup Series was off for Easter. That's typically they take that week off. So they'll get cranked up here. Jumping back to Rockingham real quick. Great weekend of racing at the Rockingham. It's kind of a good thing. It gives the Truck Series and the O'Reilly Series a chance to kind of be the stars of the weekend. No offense to those two series at all. But when they go along with the Cup at Cup race weekend, when they're there, the Cup Series is obviously the star. So it is just kind of what it is there. That's typical. So looking back, we'll start with the Truck Series. As becoming, it sounds like a broken record. Corey Heim dominated, literally. Led 178 laps of the 200 that were run. So I don't know of a better word to use when Corey Heim sits in a truck, except just pure domination. This week could be a little interesting for him. He is going to race this week. We'll get more into that when we look ahead at the Bristol preview. But yeah, I mean, just domination. He actually had almost lost it. His teammate Caden Honeycutt, who is actually driving the number 11 truck, which Corey Heim drove last year on his way to the Truck Series championship. But Corey Heim isn't full-time in the Truck Series, so they put Caden Honeycutt in that truck, and Caden Honeycutt ran him down. Lap traffic played a role in it for Caden, but he still cut the deficit in down to was 900ths of a second was the winning margin. So he was there at the end, but as the phrase has become around the Truck Series, when he's in it, when Corey Heim races, it's Heim time, and it is. So off to Corey Heim doing that. We'll do a quick run through. Not much to really talk about on that side. We'll go real quick through the standings. Corey Heim is leading them. However, he's not running a full-time series as mentioned, so he's not eligible for championships. But he is the points leader. But if you eliminate him, Caden Honeycutt would actually be the points leader with 190. They both have 190 points actually. But if you want to hear the crazy stat, all the drivers that I'll list in the top 10 have 5 starts. Corey Heim has 3, and he has the most points. So tells you how good Corey Heim is. Caden Honeycutt, like I said, is second. Lane Riggs third. Chandler Smith fourth. Ty Majeski, my driver, is fifth. Gio Ruggiero sixth. Christian Eckes seventh. Ben Rhodes eighth. Stuart Friesen ninth. And Justin Haley in a Dodge is 10th. And we're going to go through 10 every time we do the point standings, because that's the number of drivers that qualify for the chase at the end of the season. So right now, Justin Haley holds the last spot. I'll give you 11th. The next one down for the cut line is Tyler Ankrum. He is literally 1 point behind 10th. So lots of changes will be happening coming up. But this is one series where you can say, as of right now, Chevrolet is not dominating the series. Well, the Cup Series, they're really not. But when we look at the O'Reilly standings, it'll be all Chevrolets pretty much. But here in the top 10, you've got 4 Fords, 4 Toyotas, a Dodge, and 1 Chevy. So a little more spread out here. But again, the 11 truck of Caden Honeycutt, Lane Riggs, Chandler Smith, Ty Majeski, to me, those are your big boys that are going to have to be watched throughout the whole season for serious championship contenders. If we switch over to the O'Reilly series, we had a first-time winner And William Sawalich got his first win at Rockingham. Congrats to him. He led 80 of the laps. Corey Day was the dominant driver of the day. But as I've mentioned, this is a team sport, and they had troubles on pit road. They had a slow stop in the second stage at the stage break, and they also wound up having a loose lug nut on one of them, so he had to come in and get that all fixed up. And he fell down to 24th after that, coming off sequence, but he drove his way back up to a top 10 finish, so that just shows you how dominant he was. He swept both the first and second stages, but William Sawalich, was right there. He's a good up-and-coming driver. Got his first win. So congrats to him. Drives for Joe Gibbs. His winning margin was 0.9 of a second, 0.863 really, but round up, I just call it 0.9 of a second. He finished, like I said, 80 laps led. Brandon Jones was second. Justin Allgaier, who you never count him out in the O'Reilly series, much like you don't count Corey Heim out in the truck series when he is racing. Raja Caruth, Carson Kvapil, Sheldon Creed, Taylor Gray, Parker Retzloff, Ryan Sieg, and then Corey Day rounded out the top 10. So these are, was a good weekend for them. Really good to see somebody new get a win in William Sawalich. I like that. We'll go look at the standings here. And here in the O'Reilly series, 12 drivers make the chase. So we'll go through the top 12 in points. No shock here. Justin Allgaier is pretty much lapping the field when it comes to points. He has 422 points. The next closest in second place is Jesse Love with 296. Well over 100-point lead going into Bristol. Sheldon Creed sits third. Austin Hill fourth. Corey Day fifth. Carson Kvapil sixth. Sammy Smith seventh. Brandon Jones, Parker Retzloff, and Raja Caruth round up the top 10. And then William Sawalich, based on that victory, skyrocketed up 3 spots into 11th. Taylor Gray holds the last spot at 12th. And then, kind of shocking to me, Sam Mayer is in 13th. So he's the first one out. Yet he is, 30 points behind Taylor Gray. 30 points can be made up pretty quick. Couple races, sometimes one race. If Mayer were to win and Gray were to finish in the back of the pack, he could leapfrog him this week. But generally, with those drivers, like with the skill level down there, with those two between them, I'd pretty much say you're looking at 2 to 3 races that Mayer would have to probably leapfrog him. But it could go backwards. I mean, Mayer could finish last and then wind up falling further behind. So just have to wait and see how it plays out. That's pretty much what we're looking at with the Rockingham recap. We'll jump into there's no other way to start this off, this preview. This is, it's Bristol, baby. That's just what it is. That's the catchphrase for it. My favorite track on the circuit. Not sure it's real close, but this is the racetrack I tell everybody that wants to go to a race, go to the Bristol race. But go to the Bristol race at night, in the fall, in September. But man, that's the first race I took my wife to, and she fell in love with it. She likes going to other tracks, but somehow I think if she's a little disappointed if I don't say we're going to Bristol. But my favorite track by far. So we'll jump into it. Before we jump into some more of it, let's give you a little bit of a backstory of Bristol here. Bristol, it's a half-mile track, 0.533 miles. It's an oval, high bankings. It's not just a racetrack, though. It's actually held an NFL game, exhibition game, between the Washington Redskins and Philadelphia Eagles. It's held, what else is it held there? They've held a college football game, 2 of them. One, I guess you'd call Power 4 conference, and one FCS level. And most recently, it's actually hosted a baseball game. So it held NASCAR races. It held Tennessee versus Virginia, which makes a lot of sense when you consider those 2 schools played there, because Bristol sits on the Tennessee-Virginia border. Like one half of the street is Virginia and one half is Tennessee. So Tennessee won that game. But the Braves and Reds played the first Major League Baseball game there last year. Don't know if they're going to do it again anytime, but it was a success, but a failure, due to the simple fact that it rained. So the game was like rain, and then started and stopped and pushed off. And so, I mean, but you can't really control the weather. That game could have been rained out at any other stadium too. But it was just kind of bummed that it happened while the first one there. It's unique in the fact that this is the last track that NASCAR uses that has 2 pit roads. It's such a small infield that they cannot fit both sides of all pit road on one side. So you have 2 different pit roads, and you have different rules for going to pit road. You know, if you're under caution, you have to come in. Everybody comes in at one turn, and then you have to drive. And then if you're on the back, you have to go all the way around, and then you can exit. If it's under green, you can go in on out of turn 2 if you're on the back stretch and go straight to your pit. So it's kind of, you got to make sure you're on top of the rules, because you don't want to accidentally, pull in under green and go to the front stretch pits, and you're on the back, and then you have to drive the whole pit road at pit road speed. On a track that size, you're going to be 3 to 4 laps down, if not more. That's how big one mistake can make on that. The banking, when it first came out, it was said Bristol was at 36-degree banking. That was later proved to not be true. It's actually, it ranges from 24 degrees to 28 degrees in the corners. And the straightaways, if you want to call them straightaways, they're more like just little snippets of straightaway. They're 4 to 8 degrees. So it's pretty drastic. The G-forces that it produces on these guys is pretty rough. Drivers, excuse me, I've heard drivers mention that you actually compress, like your body compresses in the seat going into the corners. So pretty weird dynamic there, but it's a sight to watch these cars, especially at night, going around in that little thing. We'll get into some of your all-time win list here, as I like to do when we give these previews, just to kind of give you an idea. Darrell Waltrip was the master at Bristol, won 12 races there. Cale Yarborough won 9. Rusty Wallace 9. Dale Earnhardt Sr. won 9. Kyle Busch won 9. 8 on the track that they race on now, but for 3 years during the spring race, this one coming up, they raced on dirt. They brought in all kinds of dirt and made it a dirt track. So he actually won 1 on the dirt track. And then his brother, Kurt, has 6 wins there. So, those are some of your heavy hitters, Hall of Fame members that are dominated there. You want to get into some of your fastest laps that have ever been recorded here. So, remember I said it's 0.533 miles long. So just a smidge over a half mile. So in the Cup Series, and this is these numbers are from 2025 and before, so they're updated. In the Cup Series, you had Kyle Larson, and this was done in 2018 in the Food City 500, which is this race, the same spring race. He turned a lap of 14.945 seconds. So you think there's 60 seconds in a minute. He was literally doing 4 laps a minute, right around there. And that's just insane to think about. NASCAR Truck Series, Christian Eckes did it in 2023 with 15.35. ARCA Menards was set in 2025 with Brent Cruz, who's now racing in the O'Reilly Series. Keep an eye on that kid. 15.47. And Xfinity was set by Cole Custer, who is my wife's second favorite driver just because she loves the name. In 2019, he went 15.65 seconds. Kind of weird that the Xfinity Series car went slower than the Menard Series, but, you know, there's different trims and different things. Drivers do things a little different. So if you flip it over and you want to know, well, okay, what's the difference in running on asphalt and, or, you know, dirt? Well, I mentioned that the Cup Series record was 14.94 by Kyle Larson. Well, Kyle Larson also holds the record for the fastest lap on the dirt track, which was done in 2022. And the difference is he went 19.26 on the dirt. So you're talking 3.5 seconds, 3.3 seconds difference is what the dirt slowed the cars down. The truck was set by Stuart Friesen at 19.003 versus the truck with Christian Eckes with 15.3. So again, you know, you're looking at 3.7 seconds. So just a little difference there. You can see how much dirt can slow down the cars. Go down into we just did the fastest laps on dirt. So now let's jump into the previews. All 3 series will be racing this weekend. It kicks off Friday at 3:30. This is on FS2 as practice and qualifying. Qualifying is at 4:35. And then they turn right around after that, and at 7:30 on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. You can also listen to it on Sirius XM Channel 90. You'll have the race, the Tennessee Army National Guard 250. Your stage links for this race are 65 for the first stage, 65 for the second stage, and then 120 for the last stage, giving you your grand total of 250. A little bit extra to watch, besides the just the race itself. Corey Heim is racing in this one. He wasn't originally going to, but they're doing a thing they started called the Triple Truck Challenge, and he's won the first 2 of them. It was the Darlington race he won, and then the Martinsville race. So now he's obviously going to race in this one. He won $100,000 for each of those wins, bonus. And if he wins Bristol, he'll win an extra $500,000 plus $100,000 for the race. So a chance to win $600,000 is up. So I'm kind of curious to see if he can pull it off. Now, I had mentioned we're going to see what he can do. And we'll get into it when I mention the drivers to watch, which obviously I have Heim, Majeski, Caden Honeycutt, and Chandler Smith. Lane Riggs is kind of my sleeper. He does pretty well at Bristol, but he's also had some issues at Bristol. So, but what's going to make it harder for Corey, I believe, is when I mentioned what Cup drivers are dropping down to race in the Truck Series. Drivers like Kyle Busch, who has 9 wins there. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is a Cup Series driver. Chase Briscoe, Ross Chastain, Daniel Suarez, Christopher Bell. They're all out there. And these are all good, solid Cup Series drivers. So they know Bristol. They know how to get around Bristol. Qualifying is going to be key for Corey Heim. I believe he's going to have to be near the front. I don't believe he's going to be able to drive through these Cup Series guys like he has in the regular series. But we'll see. Bet on Corey Heim at your own peril. I'd lean Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch, he's got something figured out at Bristol. So we'll see how that works out. But just some drivers to watch. Watch Busch. Watch Christopher Bell. He's really good in the trucks too. So all of them are. They're Cup Series level guys. They're good driving just about anything. So that leads us through Friday. We're done with Friday. We jump into the O'Reilly series on Saturday. They get cranked up. And on Saturday, they start at 2 p.m. on the CW app. Is at their practice at 3:05 is their qualifying, again, on the CW app. If I didn't mention it, all these times are Eastern time, by the way. Then they crank up at 7:30 p.m. on the CW network and, again, Sirius XM Channel 90. That's NASCAR radio. They crank up and drop the flag on the Suburban Propane 300. Their stages, stage 1 is 85, stage 2 is 85, and stage 3 is 130 to give you your 300 lap count. This is the first race of the Dash for Cash. And we talked about that. Let me get over here, come down here and go to the Dash for Cash. I always forget to highlight the topics. So the Dash for Cash, people, what is that? Well, first off, if you're a Fan Rewards member and followed my series, beginner series on that, and set all that up and got that, if you go under your profile, there's a thing and a little green box will pop up and it'll say Dash for Cash. Just click it. First off, you're going to get 25 points towards your rewards. And you're also going to be entered into gift drawings that they're going to have 50 drivers for the next 50 people for the next 4 weeks will be a chance to win gift cards or cash from O'Reilly's. I think it's $50. I'd have to go back and look at it exactly, but it's like a $50 gift card or $50 cash or something for 50 people. They're going to give away 50 things. So kind of a cool little thing O'Reilly's is doing. I'll give them credit for that. But what is the Dash for Cash? Okay, well, it is what it is. It's a Dash for Cash. Last week at Rockingham was the qualifier. So how it works is the top 4 finishers from that race that are eligible for points in the O'Reilly series become eligible for the first Dash for Cash race, which is at Bristol. So those 4 that were locked in were William Sawalich, Brandon Jones, Justin Allgaier, and Raja Caruth. Those are the only 4. They'll have a special banner on their windshield. If you watch the race, it'll say Dash or Dash for Cash or something along those lines. That's what it's done in the past. So whoever finished the highest don't have to win the race. You just have to beat the other 3 competitors. You win $100,000. And you automatically qualify for next week's. I'd have to look at the schedule to see what the next 3 races are. I think it's Kansas after Bristol, but I'm not 100% sold on that. I'd have to look that up. In fact, if you give me a second, I'll pull that up for you real quick. Let's see. because I want to give y'all the right information, of course. Let's go to the schedule for the O'Reilly series. Okay, so Bristol, Kansas, Talladega, and the Texas Motor Speedway are the 4 races for the Dash for Cash. So whoever finishes higher out of those 4 wins the Dash for Cash and is automatically qualified. So let's say Justin Allgaier finishes 8th, but he beats everybody else. So he's qualified. So then we take positions 1, 2, and 3 in the race, and they go to Kansas for the $100,000 Dash for Cash. And that cycle repeats. The highest qualifier advances. There used to be a thing for somebody if they'd actually like won all of them. I don't know if they're doing that anymore. But either way, it's just something that every series has something in season to kind of spice it up. You have the Triple Truck Challenge. You have the Dash for Cash for the O'Reillys. And we'll definitely get into it pretty hard and heavy when the Cup Series gets theirs going, which is their bracket challenge. That gets going in the summer months. So everybody has their own little thing they do for it. So that's the Dash for Cash. If you got any questions or comments, drop questions or comments to me. I'll get them answered as quick as I can when I see them. Who are we watching in the O'Reilly series? Justin Allgaier. Just who I'm watching. Allgaier, Brandon Jones, Carson Kvapil, your normal standout, Jesse Love, Austin Hill. But there's one wild card in this, and he's the only Cup driver dropping down to race in this. Now, I mean, dropping down. He's going to race in this. He's obviously racing on Sunday too. But it's Kyle Larson. And Kyle Larson is really good at Bristol. I've seen him. If the race was an extra 100 laps, the one we went to, he might have lapped the entire field. He took him out behind the woodshed, so to speak, and it was not pretty. But still was a great race to watch. There's action all over the track. Even if somebody's dominating it, there's action further back. So it's always something going on. But you got to watch Larson in this. Obviously, he wouldn't be eligible for the Dash for Cash, but he's still a threat to win. So with that, we're going to jump into the big boys. And these are so unpredictable, these races. Like I said, I've seen Larson dominate races. I've seen different people dominate races here. I've seen races with, caution after caution after caution because guys can't quit running into each other either. So take that for what it's worth. You don't ever know what you're going to get. A couple of years ago, we had a race here in the spring. It was like every 20 laps, people's tires were blowing out. They had to go. It was the craziest thing. Denny Hamlin won that race, which is normal when you get something like that because you get a veteran who knows how to manage his tires better. So the Cup Series will kick off on Saturday at 4:30. Should be on FS1. I believe I'm sorry. Qualifying. That's right. They switched it over to qualifying for the Cup Series. It's 4:30 on Amazon Prime and on Sirius XM Channel 90 again. Maybe Sirius XM will watch this and start sponsoring me or something. We'll see. And then at 5:40, they go into qualifying for on Amazon Prime again and Sirius XM Channel 90. And that clears you with that. That gets that all set up. And then we'll jump into Sunday at 3 p.m. I really wish this was a night race. I wish every Bristol race was a night race, but that's here nor there. 3 p.m. It's going to be on FS1, the Fox Sports app. If you have HBO Max, they give you a window where you can have 4 drivers, like driver cams, and you can listen to the audio between the driver and the spotter and the crew chief and all that while the race is going on too. And if you don't know, that this will also be heard on Sirius XM Channel 90. Just in case you forgot, it was Sirius XM Channel 90. So that'll go into that. Now this, well, you talk about a race. The first stage is 125 laps. Second stage is 125 laps. And third stage is 250 laps. You're thinking, good Lord. Remember, it's a half-mile track. They're running 15-second laps. So you're doing 4 laps a minute. So it's not like an 8-hour race or anything. It's still a really quick race. What you really want to have happen when you go to one is you want green flag pit stops. You don't mind some cautions to bunch everything back up, but you want pit stops to happen under green. It just jumbles the entire field. So that's really what you want. Drivers to watch. This is going to be a normal list almost every week, I think. Larson, Hamlin, Gibbs. It's Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Ty Gibbs, Tyler Reddick. I put Tyler Reddick on there. It's not one of his better tracks, but the season that they're having at 23-11 at Tyler Reddick, I'm not. He's going to be a driver to watch until he falls apart. And then I threw Ryan Blaney in there. Ryan Blaney has not had a great Bristol experiences, but he's getting better there. And it seems like every year he's more towards the front. So this is not a good track. Penske has not really done well at this track in the history. But Blaney seems to be figuring something out with this car setup and what he does. So we're going to see. I'm going to put him on there. Again, Blaney's one of those I don't count out. He seems to have a knack for passing people. The only other driver in this, and I'm not saying to keep an eye on, is Chad Fincham. He's driving the number 66 car just because he doesn't race. They don't race full time. They do select races. So I just threw him in there because, somebody making a start in the Cup Series, we'll put him out there and give him at least a little bit of notoriety. So couple of different things going on here. Goodyear has come out with a new tire combination for this race. After the race a couple of years ago, I talked about where the tires were having serious issues. They decided that something they had to work. So in Goodyear, to give them credit, they work on this year round, not just at Bristol. They work at every track trying to figure out how to make it better. More tire fall off, less tire fall off, how soft can we go? Just different things to try to make the racing better. So I give Goodyear credit. They're trying all kinds of stuff. But they're doing a combination. They're trying some sort of combination for the left and right side tires that are less dependent on temperature, because they've said here recently in the spring, Bristol, the temperature on Saturday when they do practice and qualifying in the evening, or in the evening, 4:30, 5 o'clock, versus when they race at 3 o'clock, the temperature can be drastically different. So they're trying out this tire. How's it going to work? Tune in Sunday to find out, because I don't know either. Like they get their typical for a track, like for a race like this, they're going to have 12 sets of tires for the weekend. And how that breaks down is they get 10 for the race, 1 for practice, and then 1 for from qualifying, known as scuffs. So they'll be able to take those to the main. You won't take your practice tires because they'll have too many laps on them, but you could take your qualifying scuffs with you in case you need them. Now, a couple of years ago in that one race, NASCAR Goodyear knew they had a problem, so they allowed the teams to go buy more tires, not give. They don't give anything away in NASCAR, but they had to go buy tires. They could if they needed to. Some teams, I think, did. Some teams didn't. Some realized they could make it. So something new to keep an eye on. There's also going to have 4 sets of wet weather tires. They will race on short tracks and road courses with damp racetrack. Not if it's pouring rain, nothing like that. But if the racetrack is damp or, just a little bit wet, they will race on it with wet weather tires. And pretty much the wet weather tires are what you would have on your passenger car. They have tread like those versus the slicks that you would normally see on a race car. So we went through your drivers to watch. We went with the new tire combination. We're going into just some miscellaneous topics that have popped up this week from NASCAR. The big one, really, there's only one big. Well, there's 2 stories. We'll go with the smaller one first. Was that the YouTube sensation, who's attempting to be a race car driver, who's getting better. I like him, Cletus McFarland. NASCAR told him he's not allowed to race at Talladega in the O'Reilly series. He doesn't have enough laps. And some people will say, well, he can race other tracks. What's the difference? Talladega is a whole different monster. Not only is it pack racing where you're really tight to each other, it's one wrong turn. And you could severely injure yourself, somebody else. You could wind up making a mistake and taking out, 15, 20 cars. So NASCAR needs, he has to get some more laps under him and stuff like that. And I have no doubt he'll do it. He wants to do this. So we'll see how it goes. There's a chance he could get enough and do enough for NASCAR to say he could race at Talladega. That's 2 weeks away. So there's a chance he could do it. We'll just have to keep an eye on that. But the big topic that came out was NASCAR is changing Talladega. Now, before everybody starts freaking out because it's Talladega, if you watched the Daytona and Talladega races over the past couple of years, you'll notice that it's a lot of fuel saving. Guys are running 60% throttle at the front of the pack. Guys are running 30% throttle to save as much fuel to make pit stops shorter, which is a strategy. And I don't mind it, because I'll tell you this. If they wouldn't show me the telemetry on the screen, and if you were sitting in the stands, I'm going to bet you wouldn't have been able to look at that and say, hey, he's not doing 190 miles an hour. He's only doing 170. I'm going to bet you probably couldn't tell the difference. So it's been a problem. Fans have thrown their fit about it. And this goes to show you that NASCAR listens to their fans too. They're deciding that. We don't know the specifics yet. All we know is, and it came out on NASCAR Hauler Talked, was they're going to flip it. Typically, as you heard me mention the stages coming up for Bristol, it was 125, 125, 250. Typically, the last stage is the longest. Well, they're talking that they're going to flip that, and they're going to make the first stage the longest at Talladega. I'm assuming they're going to do it at Daytona too in the next race at Daytona. We'll see. They may be waiting to get a gauge on how it works. But for right now, it's supposed to be just Talladega. And it's the example that I'll use is one I heard this morning on Sirius XM radio. Mike Bagley and Pete Pistone in the morning drive. So what their example was, let's say the race is 188 laps. Okay, that's the length of the race at Talladega. So they said you can normally, and then again, I heard more info from Larry McReynolds, known as America's crew chief. He says you can run about 40 to anywhere between 40 to 46 laps generally on a green flag fuel run. So he says that what the thought process is that NASCAR would make the first stage 100 laps. So if you're going to have fuel saving, you'd have it in there, but you're still going to have to make a pit stop, maybe 2, depending on if you can save fuel enough. Because if you say 45 and 45 is the average, let's just say that, you're looking 90, you still got 10 laps to go. You got to be able to save 10 laps of fuel somewhere. So we'll see how that played out. And then the next 2 stages would be 44 and 44, which you would be able to make without a fuel stop. So to me, I kind of like it. I'm kind of on board with it. I want to see how it plays out. I think it's going to open it up to where you get more racing in the back half of the actual event, because it's not going to be, hey, let's save fuel until the final pit stop and then we'll go. It's going to be, we need to go. So if you want to get real negative on it, people will say they'd rather get rid of the stages at these 2, not necessarily the stages, but get rid of the breaks in between the stages. Well, I would question those people to go back and watch some old Daytona races, not even real far back, back when Dale Jr. was out there and stuff. There was numerous races where these guys would just get in a single file line, all 36 cars in a single file line, nose to tail, never passing, never doing nothing, just riding the whole race, because there was no need to tear up your car at the beginning of the race. Well, now they're stage points. So you may ride around for a while, but when it comes to that stage, you want those points. Those are points for your standings. You got to be in the top 16 to make the chase. So, it literally, that's how it used to be. There was a bunch of races, Daytona and Talladega, same way, where it was just riding for the whole race. And that's when stages kind of cranked up. And I think stages came in 2017. So I'd say go back and look at any maybe Daytona from, say, I don't know, let's just give a window of 2010 to 2016. You'll find one somewhere in there where there's just not a lot of action. So we're going to see how that plays out. I'm looking forward to the weekend. Looking forward to that change. Looking forward to this tire issue, not tire issue, but I guess tire issue. The tire change that NASCAR and Goodyear are throwing out there. Really, really looking forward to this weekend. Like I said, phenomenal track to watch a race at. Phenomenal race to watch on TV. You never know what you're going to get at Bristol. So y'all definitely tune in, like, comment, subscribe to my channel. You got me here. You can find me on TikTok. You can find me on Patreon, where I do giveaways for paid subscribers, including autographs. Eventually we get some more paid subscribers. We'll give away bigger prizes, maybe some sheet metal from cars, maybe even eventually we get enough people subscribed. Maybe we'll give away some race tickets. I'll let you pick the race. I'll tell you what races are available to you and let you pick them and get your tickets. I'm on Instagram now, so you can find me there. Instagram is SEC Sean 2026. Everything else is SEC Sean. Apparently somebody stole my name on Instagram, so I have to find that person. You see our channels, WTP Sports Dudes, WTP for Life. Robert put everybody together. Level Up Sports 10 Mossberg. He's coming up at 7:45 with What If Wednesday. I may try to pop back on for that a little bit. We'll see. City League TV with T1. One Take Zay is on there. You got Parlay Poe, who's living high after Michigan won the basketball title. And you got Post Game with tons of Notre Dame and plenty of basketball type content. Big Notre Dame guy, so he'll be cranking up pretty soon with football, I'm sure. He normally hosts Thursday night show we have, so go tune in, like, subscribe, share, comment. Do a little bit of everything for us. Hit the notification bell so you'll know when one of us is going live. And we have a webpage, WTPSportsDudes.com. You can look that up. Got info, tell you a little bit about all of us that are on here. We got a question session on there. You can ask questions, anything you want to hear us talk about. Just, put it out there. Let us know. Let us know what y'all want. That's what we're doing it for. So other than that, we're going to jump off here and call it a night and go relax a little bit, get some dinner going. Y'all have a good evening, and we'll catch up probably Saturday, maybe Saturday evening, maybe, depends. I don't know. I know my son's coming into town, so I may not be able to get on and set a fantasy lineup for you. But if you want some advice, just kind of look around and look at the drivers I mentioned, and that'd be a pretty good fantasy lineup for you. So other than that, y'all have a good evening, and we will talk later.